you're not playing rugby this year, and you're not entering the exciting Autumn Cup, which we're all looking forward to as a triangular tournament, it seems, at the moment. I guess that was a hard decision in terms of everyone wants to see teams play, but in terms of the future of the club, an easy decision.
Yeah, I mean, our first port of call was we spoke to the players and staff, and we surveyed the players, and of the 22 players who still got with us, all of them came back and said they don't want to take part in a autumn competition. So it was an easy call for us after they said that to us. There's the prohibited cost of testing, taking the players and myself and Mark off furlough and things like that. So yeah, it was a no-brainer for us. It was difficult. Obviously, we want to be back. We're missing it, and we want the fans to obviously take advantage of the season tickets and the sponsors to get their money's worth and things like that. But yeah, it's a difficult one for us, and also the fact that we don't want to hamper our next season. So next season they're still looking like next season will start in February because we're bookended by the World Cup, so we can't delay next season. So playing October, November, giving the players maybe a few weeks off before we get back into pre-season over Christmas isn't something we wanted to do. So difficult one, but it was like I say, made easy by what the players told us. We follow their word.
You mentioned the World Cup, and obviously Sheffield, the Doncaster axis as well, is going to be a key part of it. You've got your fixtures now, Bramall Lane coming on board. Was it worth sacrificing 2020 because 2021 has the promise of almost a relaunch of Sheffield Eagles? Yeah,
it's massive for us, the World Cup. We bid in 2013 and we lost out. We wanted the England-Ireland game, which was a sellout at Huddersfield, obviously with Mark Aston then being the coach of Ireland. And we lost out on it, and it was very disappointing to lose that because we thought we could sell out Bramall Lane at 32,000. Huddersfield sold out at 25,000. So we made it up to get England, again, BBC, primetime. Yeah, it is against Greece, but again, I don't want to give any disrespect to Greece, and we're hosting them in the city, and having them out in the community for 4 to 6 weeks when they're in the tournament, when they're here, will be massive for us. And also having the 4 wheelchair sides here, part of our development plan moving forward is to have a wheelchair side, and we'll be pushing ahead with that very quickly, because having 4 wheelchair sides based here and having those sides based here playing here in the semi-finals is huge for that side of the game as well. So no, it can't be over or underestimated how big it is for us. And early next year we'll have a, fingers crossed, a development officer in place. We're working with the RFL, working with the council, and working with the City Trust to basically all 4 of us come together and fund a post for minimum of 2 years. And we've not had that for a few years now after the troubles we've had. So to get someone full time back in post, utilising the World Cup, and then afterwards getting back into schools, it's big for us. It's not just the game at Bramall Lane and the games at EIS, it's everything that comes around it. So yeah, we're massively looking forward to it.
We talk about London a lot being nomadic, Liam, but obviously yourselves at Sheffield, you've had a year at Doncaster, you're at Wakefield. Well, we obviously love having you at Wakefield, but not quite the same as being in your own city, in your own home, and a year at Ollerton since moving from Don Valley since they got knocked down. You must be really, really desperate to get the Olympic Legacy Park sorted and fit for Championship Rugby or Super League in the future.
Yeah, I think I came back. I got back involved in late 2015, and I've worked at, I think, 7 different venues for home matches in 5 years. So we've been all over, and it's tough for us. It's tough for the fans, and it's not ideal. I've got to say that people like Michael Carter at Wakefield and Carl at Doncaster have been. I don't know what we would have done without them. To be fair, we struggle. So yeah, to have the Olympic Legacy Park. Again, the word is September they'll start. Obviously, COVID's put that back. But yeah, if we can get that started in September and get a lot of the work done prior to next season, have a makeshift Olympic Legacy Park while it's constructed and finished in circa May, June next year, it'd be huge for us. Huge. We've not had a venue since Don Valley got knocked down, and again for all Don Valley's negatives and being the running track and all the rest of it, it was a home, it was a base for us. We've not had that. We've not had a training base, an office, and a playing venue since Don Valley, which will be next year, sort of 8 years ago. So to have that again, it'd be huge for us, and to push forward again, because our crowds have continually dropped, and we need to get back up because we're not sustainable at the moment. It's been tough for us. It's been tough for the supporters. So to yeah, get that going is again huge. So 2021 could be a big year for Sheffield. Fingers crossed.
Sportsman City, of course, Paul. Sheffield, two football clubs, one in the Premier League now. The ice hockey team won something this year. I can't remember what it was. Oh, the Challenge Cup, that was it. Basketball team. Of course, the Eagles as well. Not too far away from our exciting home base of the M62. Somehow, we need to give them more support than perhaps we have in the past.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I love to see the game grow in Sheffield. Sheffield, for me, was home for 3 years when I went to university to get my increasingly worthless journalism degree. So I've a lot of great memories from there. I remember back then, obviously, covering the Eagles a little bit as part of my degree. And yeah, and also as a rugby league fan in the city, I was aware that the sport really didn't have much of a presence, much of a consciousness in the wider city. Obviously, you had passionate people involved in the Eagles who clearly loved the game. And I mean, Mark Aston being the number one example of that. It would be fantastic if we were able to sort of rope that area in to the M62 corridor, as you say, not too far away from us. We've not quite managed to do that. And yeah, I guess Sport Mad City, Football Mad City, you're up against two really big clubs there to establish a sort of hold in the market. But yeah, I mean, there's positives for us. There's things we can sell to Sheffield about Rugby League, obviously the history of the club, the 1998 and all that. It's an area we should be doing more in, I would feel, generally. And I think we talked extensively about the game's efforts to go in Toronto last time I was here, and about needing a collective desire to make that possible, having a strategy centrally to deliver that. We need that focus similarly in places like Sheffield, who could be a great base for the sport, but have just slightly eluded us so far, with all due respect to all the great work that Liam and Sheffield have done over the years.
I think the other thing about Sheffield is it's a potential source of players, and Liam's got a couple from the city that are playing regularly for the Eagles. There are others that have gone on to play with other clubs, and there is an untapped resource there on the doorstep. There's some really good community clubs in the South Yorkshire area. Their fortunes have fluctuated in line with the Eagles not having the prominence that they perhaps once did. But again, that's another untapped resource for the sport that we just need to bring on board. We need the Eagles with a proper academy or a centre of excellence for South Yorkshire. All of that is actually low-hanging fruit. And I think that's where the sport becomes frustrating at times, because you're absolutely right that this is relevant to the Toronto debate on the basis of the fact that if you don't have an expansion policy, you don't know where any club fits in and what more they can do. But this is one that's on our doorstep that we've never properly exploited. A club who won arguably one of, if not the most dramatic cup finals that the nation had ever seen, and within a year didn't exist. As a sport, how somebody needs to grab hold of that and be responsible for it and look to rectify it.
Yeah, on the player front, I mean, we had our performance pathway taken away from us in 2016, but it took those 16 years to build that up. And you still, if we do get a great bit in international, then fantastic. But we weren't aiming for that. You've got Corey Aston, Eddie Batty playing out there. You've got 5 players at Sheffield who've come through the academy: Paddy Burns, Greg Burns, Blake Broadbent, Ryan Miller, and then there's players out there in League One. There's a lot of players in League One that come through the Sheffield system, like Kadeem Williams at Coventry and Connor Scott at Doncaster. They are out there. They are out there playing professional game. It's not that just because they're not at the higher echelons of Super League and internationals, but they are professional players. So that will take time to develop again, but that's a key aim for us as well moving forward.
We'll talk more about the Championship and League One shutdown, I guess, later. But just before we move on to the games, I mentioned the Steelers there a few moments ago. There's that appetite, I guess, in Sheffield as a city for family-based sport. Yes, they've got the big advantage of they're inside in an arena. You're outside and you can't predict the weather. But that's obviously, there is a market there in the city for people who want to watch some kind of physical sport. It's just a matter of getting them through the turnstiles.
Yeah, and we need to. I think we've been our own worst enemy in terms of marketing and promoting the sport. But again, it's difficult to promote to the people in Sheffield when you're playing in Wakefield or Doncaster, or you're playing at a makeshift Olympic Legacy Park with portable toilets and a temporary stand. So we're conscious of that, and when the stadium does happen, we will have some efforts, both time and money wise, on marketing, because that's our sort of one chance of it. You look at what Warrington did when they moved from Wilderspool to Halliwell Jones. You look at locally here what Rotherham United, when they moved from Millmore to the New York. Now it's a big opportunity for us, so we need to grasp it with both hands, especially with the World Cup coming as well. Jump on the back of that.
We obviously talked about Sheffield and how it's was a hard decision for obviously not to play again, but easy for in terms of the finances. And I guess did you find that was a decision that was pretty much the same across the board in the Championship and League One?
No, I've got to credit the RFL, and I know they get a lot of bad press and bad stick, and rightly so sometimes. But they were good from the off with everything that happened. They consulted clubs and they surveyed clubs, and they did everything right, I've got to say, which was positive and good to see. So it was, I couldn't see a way back for us, particularly like what Phil was saying, the amount of work that has to go on behind the scenes to get games on. For particularly a lot of part-time clubs, where our club, it's myself who's full-time and Mark Aston, and that's it. There's no other full-time staff. We run with part-time and very gracious for volunteers and the backroom staff. We don't have, whereas we couldn't operate, we couldn't manage it. And I'm sure a lot of other clubs are in the same boat. Some clubs could have managed it, but I think it would have been the death knell for a lot of clubs to come back, take the players off furlough, have no income from supporters, and paying for the testing and paying for extra cleaning and all the other things that come with it would have seen a death knell of a lot of clubs, I think, including ours. I've got to say, I think that would have if it was mandated that we must return, I think we may have played maybe 5 or 6 games, and then we would have hit the wall.